everybody. Welcome to Coach's Corner and the special edition Wednesday. It's the very first episode of Four-Wheel Drive with Blaise winner at the bottom, Bill Pendock, my old teammate, right next to me. Guys, thanks for coming on the show and doing this segment called Four-Wheel Drive.
Absolutely, Paul.
We're going to explain. We're going to explain. I'll let you guys explain what four-wheel drive is. But every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, Bill Pendock played high school football with my team at Liverpool High School for George O'Leary, and then went on to Syracuse, played defensive line at Syracuse. And Blaise winner, my blow, from Jersey, I think, right? You're from Jersey?
South New York.
South New York?
Yeah, South New York, near Manhattan, near the island.
Oh, my gosh. He went to Syracuse and became a great player, part of the four-wheel drive, which we'll talk about in a second, but went on to 11 years in the NFL, mainly with the San Diego Chargers. So this is going to be a fun show, man. We're going to talk. We have a theme every week, okay? Theme's going to be anything. This week it's big plays, how they happen. We could be talking about win-loss reaction, choices, nicknames, motivation, how to come over adversity, all sorts of different subjects that we're going to tackle in this segment every Wednesday night. This is big plays. So we're going to talk about how big plays happen, and then we'll each of us will go in and maybe tell a big play they had as a player. I'm going to tell one as a coach. You know, every football game, folks, has big plays. And they can happen on special teams with a block kick, a return for a TD, or successful fake. They can come on offense with an explosive play. Another coaching vernacular called chunk plays, where the play results in a long yardage run or pass. Plays that turn the tide. That's right, plays that turn the tide, as pun intended, returning the tide. They can be on defense. For example, a sack, an interception, a fumble recovery. Big plays, though, are not relegated to just turnovers or touchdowns. And I'll give you an example. You may have heard me talk about on this show that the last 4 or 5 minutes of the half and in the first 4 or 5 minutes of the second half can be momentum shifting time in a game. And I was coaching about 10 years ago at Tate High School. And I was in my first or second year as the defensive coordinator. And we were 3-1 and going up against a powerhouse team, Pine Forest. We were clinging to a 7-0 lead late in the second quarter. And Pine Forest gets in our red zone. Time is running out. Clock's ticking down right before the first half, and the quarterback starts to scramble up the middle after sitting back in the pocket. When he broke through our front seven, I saw him head into the goal line. 15, 10, 5. Wait a minute. Here comes a couple defenders, 4 of them to be exact. All 4 DBs, the 2 safeties and 2 corners. They converged on the Pine Forest quarterback, brought him down at the 1-yard line right before the first half. We went on to win the game 35-0. And but if that Pine Forest quarterback would have scored and tied the game 7-7 right before halftime, all momentum would have gone to Pine Forest. It was a pivotal game in the play, a pivotal game in our season. Now, as a coach, I would constantly stress how important it is for everybody to run to the ball. And that play there included no touchdown, no turnover, no crushing tackle, no spectacular one-handed interception. No, sir, it was an assisted tackle by 4 DBs running to the ball. It just so happened to be at the 1-yard line with no time left on the clock. It was one of my proudest moments as a coach. And like I said earlier, usually between 6 to 8 big plays in every game. The only problem is you don't know where, how, or who is going to make those big plays. Now that I'm my college coach, our high school coach, Billy, both of y'all's college coach, George O'Leary, he talked about discipline of going out, 80 plays, 70 plays, something like that. If you're on offense or defense, if you go out all 70, all 80 plays, that all 11 guys doing that, you're never going to have a letdown. You're never going to have a big play. You're never against you. What do you guys think about big plays? Blaise, I'll start with you.
Well, for me, it's there's vivid memories of being a part of big plays, but there's also a constant reminder and there's a constant teaching being done in practice each day. I mean, it's an everyday thing from the simple tackle that creates a fumble to the holding a block to get that first down to understanding how to set a wall so that the return man can break it for 40, 50 yards. Every day, I mean, you spend countless hours on the field in practice, teaching. If you're a coach, we've all been coaches, teaching how do you create it, reminding players on the receiving end as a player, constantly being taught and reminded every other minute of the day that, hey, man, you need to create this life-changing moment, not only for yourself, but for the people around you. I mean, the idea of a big play it's so watered down on national TV because, he made a great play and now we're moving on to the next play. But to get to that point, I mean, the countless hours and years of practice or the demands of a guy like George O'Leary daily that you need to get to Doug Flutie. You need to stop him on third down. You cannot stay on the field with that man, Oliver Luck. You can't let yourself be put in a position where you're going to have to play more reps. You'll be on the field more, have more reps, and so on. So there's so much more to it than just create a fumble.
Yeah, because a lot of them are created by your teammates. You might get the recognition, the guy with the ball, right? The guy with the ball. Yeah. But the critical play was the block from the guard or a defensive tackle taking up a double team so your defensive end can get the sack.
What about also the part of, hey, man, when your teammate makes that great play, the forward drive, we're all about when Jamie Kimmel makes the play, we're all coming to your side to celebrate. All of us are coming to your side to celebrate. You're not going to celebrate alone because you would have never got that big play if it wasn't for Billy taking out two people in the middle.
Right, exactly. Four-wheel drive. Billy, talk about how four-wheel drive started. Talk about the other part of the four-wheel drive. I'm just in the back of the truck, man. I'm just back for the ride. I'm just happy you guys are up front driving. I'm just happy to be cracking a.
And Billy's the one. He's the one that created it. He's the one that made it all come to life, man, and gave it purpose.
All right, so Billy, talk about the other two. Timmy Green, our high school teammate and All-American at Syracuse, how smart he was, and talk about Jamie Kimmel. No, not the late night host, the original Jamie Kimmel.
The real deal, yeah.
It started out. We were all New York guys. We all had a special gift for the game. Everybody, all four of us had kind of a different way to approach the game. But I think when we got with George O'Leary and everything started with fundamentals. I mean,
yes,
we would work 45 minutes to an hour every practice on fundamentals. And his big thing was getting around the football, and no matter where we were on the field, we made sure we got around the football at all times. But I think, as we got into our sophomore year, junior year, it kind of dawned on me that we got something special here, and I kind of brought the four of us together, even though we never really hung out. I don't think we really were guys that would hang out together after practice or after games, but we would play the game together like the four of us lived together. I mean, it was a special bond that we had that I'll never forget. And I kind of sat down. I don't remember the exact way it went, but I kind of sat down and said, let's call this the four-wheel drive. We got four guys here. Let's get let's get caps. Let's get 4-wheel drive hats. I had a big red pickup, F-250. I said, let's start kicking ourselves around as the 4-wheel drive. Next thing you know, it took on as our senior year came around. And then I remember Sports Illustrated coming to take pictures, around the truck and Coach O'Leary, I
don't
mean,
know if you can see it. Probably can't see it. I'll get a picture of it.
Get a picture next time.
I'll get a picture next week of it and put it up in this back
but
screen.
I talked about it before. The 4 guys, I mean, and Blaise brought up a great point. We played Boston College. They were going to, I think, the Sugar Bowl that year, and Flutie was running rampant on everybody. And our practice week was literally living hell. I mean, we went through probably 6 or 7 quarterbacks that week, and
wow.
And Paul, as you know, I don't know what went on at Bama, but we had 3 days live practice. So it was not thud. It was not get to the quarterback and break down. It was live. And that's what it took to get prepared for Boston College that week. And we knocked them out of the Sugar Bowl. I mean, we beat Boston College our senior year, and it took 4 guys rushing the passer from 4 different directions to make that happen. And as you all know, and people that have seen his film, not 1 or 2 guys could contain that guy. I mean, he was elusive, and he was just a great player. He had a knack of football.
Let's talk about that, because I played against Boston College and Doug Flutie as well. And I played against them twice, my junior and senior year. Now let's talk about, what year was that, Billy? You guys beat them? 84?
That was 83.
83. 83. Thank you. You guys were awesome. Unbelievable. Let me tell you about the Bama Boston College game, and then we'll talk about big plays, because this is one of my big moments that I had at Alabama. It's not really, it's one of my big plays. We're playing Boston College at BC in Foxborough, late November. Doug Flutie is Doug Flutie. We all played against them. Okay. It was 25 degrees. It had wind blowing 40 miles an hour. The power went out and the TV feed went out. That's how bad it was. Okay. I had guys in the Alabama defensive huddle that didn't want to play. They just wanted to huddle up. TV timeouts were brutal, because they just wanted to huddle up and get warm. I was livid at them. I was yelling at them, don't worry about getting warm, but they've never even stood in those conditions. So early, I think it was the early third quarter, man, they come out to punt, and I snuck through the line and blocked the punt. My hand hurt for a week because it felt like a brick hit it. We ran it back. We lost against BC, but let me tell you, it was one of the most rewarding games, because the DB coach at Syracuse, Tom Coughlin, was the DB coach at Boston College. And so he was coaching over there. And my mom, God rest her soul, my mom was sick with cancer. It was the only game she ever got to see me play in college or pro. And she was there, and she was sick with cancer, and it was freezing cold. It was even worse for the fans. But I got my very first start against those guys. And Flutie would stand around there and just wait till somebody got open. And we had D-line. They weren't as good as yours because you guys beat them. But they all played in the NFL, and so did you guys. All four of your defensive linemen played in the NFL. Blaise, talk about that game against BC. When we lost to them at Bama and you guys beat them at Syracuse.
Well, number one, you're made aware by your boss, George O'Leary, in the meeting room who you're facing. Now, we were smart enough to know who was on the cover of a lot of magazines, and it was Mr. Flutie. And for that group of people, the chemistry was, oh, man, we can't wait. Now, George O'Leary is always the one reminding you to come down to earth. Always come down to earth. Be grounded. Understand what you're facing. Prepare yourself. This is not going to be a one-man show, Tim, Jamie, and this is not about just you, Billy. And this is about understanding where we fit, what we need to do to capture this man. And George was never about celebration. He was never about the pure result of being successful. He was about, hey, man, you achieve it once, you need to do it again, and then again, and again. And you're never going to stop doing it until the clock is at 0:00. Then you can go have a little celebration for a few hours, and then we're going to start on West Virginia.
Yeah.
We're going to start on West Virginia, and you're going to face another dude called Oliver Luck. And that was the mentality and the chemistry of the unit that he put together, fed off one another, not just morale boosting. Oh, man, you're a good dude, Billy. Oh, Billy, you're the greatest guy. It was Billy turning to me and saying, get your head out of your ass. Get your head out of your ass. And it wasn't anybody taking offense to it the way they do today.
Right.
There's a lot of people very sensitive about being motivated to what firmly. That's why George O'Leary's not in it. That's why Nick Saban's not in it. That's why a lot of coaches are saying, Mark D'Antonio told me, hey, man, I could never do what I need to do with players today because they're overly sensitive to any sort of motivation, just like they're oversensitive to my passion for Billy Pendock or my passion for the four-wheel drive.
Right.
They don't understand that I want the four-wheel drive to be recognized by Syracuse University. It's about time that they have some poster on the wall in the bathroom saying, hey, man, there's 4 guys that played here that were all about big plays. They were all about doing it right. They were coached by a legendary coach, and they listened to that coach. And that coach not only told us about the end result, but he told us about our role. Our role. It wasn't just, hey, Billy, you'll make the play. Hey, Billy, you're going to sacrifice so that Tim does. You're going to sacrifice so that Jamie does. Blaise, hey, it's your play. Hey, everybody around, you're going to sacrifice for Blaise. You have to make this play work on that one-on-one matchup. For the big plays to happen, there has to be not only an understanding of the X's and O's, but there has to be a mentality of how people fit one another, not to just sacrifice, but also be rather competitive with one another. Billy, we were as competitive a force in practice as we were in a game. You asked Jamie if he liked Tim Green. You asked Tim Green if he always liked Jamie. No way in hell did we like each other every day, but it meant results, and it got us closer to the
Blaise, you touched on so many subjects. Billy, pick one of these that really means a lot, because Blaise, you need all of these. The pursuit, and you talked about pursuit on big plays, going away 100% away on every single play. You talked about fundamentals, and I'm not a great coach by any means, especially when it comes to X's and O's. But what I am known for is fundamentals to the T. Fundamentals will make up for a lot of talent and a lot of other stuff.
Fundamentals we're talking about here, Billy. We're talking about what? Not just, what's your first and second step? Young people think fundamentals is all physical. Fundamentals is psychological. Fundamentals is understanding where you fit in the whole picture. The four-wheel drive were great because everyone understood where they fit. The celebration was all 4. The execution was all 4. Right. It was the idea that a great purple people leader defensive line was 4 people. The Killer Bees was 11 people. And the Steel Curtain was 4. All 4 had to be on the same page for them to achieve the great plays they wanted.
Billy, banging hard in practice, like we talked about, I'm a firm believer in that. Role players and sacrifice. Talk about the four-wheel drive and some of those characteristics that Blaise mentioned.
Well, it was starting on Tuesdays when we came together and did Inside Run Tuesday, Wednesday for a couple hours every day, an hour and a half, and everything was filmed. And that they put the boom camera up above, and they they focus on all inside run, which was between the tackles, so we would do an hour and a half of that, and then we'd go right inside and go over film for probably 3 hours. And Coach O'Leary would sit there and he would watch it go back and forth. Just watch your first step. It had to be 6 inches.
You do inside drill. You do inside drill for an hour?
Hour and a half.
Oh my God.
We would never leave it, Billy, right? We would never leave that drill.
It was on the sideline that it was an hour and a half live inside run. So, and as soon as we would get off the field,
man,
we go into coach's office and he'd run the film. And but the funniest part about it was, he was looking at everything from your like your first step, chest on thigh, who was where, who was doing what. It didn't matter if you felt you had a big play or you felt you were doing the right thing. If your technique wasn't right, then you were wrong. So you did it over and over and over. But again, the days of live practice 2 or 3 days a week are a thing of the past now. And that's why you don't hear a lot about great forefronts or great defensive groups. You don't hear a lot of that anymore because there's not a passion for that anymore like it used to be.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to talk about big plays as a player, as each one of you have had. All of us have had big plays. Take one from high school, college, pro. We're going to go right around. I was lucky and blessed in my career, man. I don't know how slow, fat, dumb, weird, wild, weak, white walk-on from New York, Yankee, got as far as I did. But let's talk about one from Liverpool High School, 1978 versus Oswego. Oswego's the only team that beat us the year before, and we wanted to get revenge in 79. I think, 79. They beat us the 2 years. The only coach that beat O'Leary twice. So halftime, right before halftime. It's a tight game. They got the ball in their territory, 2-minute drill. They want to go down the field and try to get some points on the board against us. So what do teams like to do? Well, they like to throw the outcut so you can stop the clock. Well, I knew that as a cornerback, and we're watching film, and we did watch a lot of film for a high school team back then. So I stepped in front of a sideline pass and took it to the house, and we ended up winning the game in Oswego and going undefeated. That was one of my big plays as a high school player, but it was mental more than physical. I was predicting that play to come, and if I saw a sign, I was jumping it. And then, so you're right, Blaise. Mental big plays can come from the mental part, not just the physical. Talk about a big play, Blaise, that you had in high school or college.
Well, the fun one that I tell a lot in some of the motivational stuff that I do around the country. We were 1989. I was playing for the Packers, and we were heading to San Francisco, and they had they were champions. They beat everybody the year before, and they won the Super Bowl. And who's their leader? We all know who their leader was. It wasn't Doug Flutie. It was even above Doug Flutie by 2 or 3, 4 miles above Doug Flutie. And no disrespect to Doug Flutie, but I just don't like quarterbacks. All right, so understand that it was Joe Montana.
Yeah.
I even have a hard time not getting mad when I say the name Joe Montana. But anyway,
the GOAT before Tom Brady.
And in the third quarter, one thing led to another. The execution of a whole game led me to, hey, here's what I could do against this guy across from me. Here's what I'm allowed to have as my allowance for how I'm going to execute this play from this position. And, the man ran left, he ran right, and I happened to be in the right place at the right time, which is a lot of what big plays is about.
Right.
And I collisioned Joe Montana, brought him to the ground, and I heard him squeal. I thought of the movie Just for a Moment, Deliverance, and I thought, oh man, I hit him. Does he have the ball? Because immediately you think, well, with a man like that, you go down low, he's going to release the ball. He never released the ball. I sacked Joe Montana for the first time in my career. I would leave myself to many others on him. He was the number one guy that I laid on top of in the NFL, which is a really nice thing to say to people. But the one play on Tuesday, if you forward the tape to Tuesday, I'm sitting in the Green Bay Packer locker room, and someone says, you're on the front page of the newspaper. And I'm like, that's the sack. And my teammate Robert Brown said, you know what you did on that play? I said, no, you broke 2 of his ribs. And I said, really? Oh my, I'm forever famous. I broke Joe Montana's ribs. And it was one of those big plays at a critical time against an all-star. I mean, big plays against somebody from Temple-Billy or somebody from East Connecticut State. I'm not putting him down, but it's not the same as a big play against Bo Jackson or Eric Dickerson or Herschel Walker or Peyton Manning. I mean, those things to a player live forever because you tell your grandchildren those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Billy, tell a big play. A big play that you had.
Now, before we tell a big play, does everybody know what the movie Deliverance? That's a great one. Blaise coming up.
Go stream that movie, and everyone will realize, oh my, what is he talking about?
Paulie, I don't know if your audience is familiar with Deliverance, but that's a good one to
we're down south here, Billy.
Actually, I'm gonna have to rewind that tonight and watch that again.
That's a great one to reference.
Billy, this is the Redneck Riviera, man. This is L.A., Lower Alabama down.
Squealing like
a pig.
Did he have a pretty mouth too? There's been so many different plays, different places. I got to say, when I was playing in Ottawa, I played 4 years there. I did pick off a pass for a touchdown. I couldn't tell you what the exact situation was, but I do remember being pretty proud of that day because when I go back in my career and I'm thinking back to high school, college, and I hear Coach O'Leary in my ear saying, you're supposed to rush the passer. The back crosses your face. You don't care about that. You go rush the passer. And I knew the back, and I've seen it probably 10, 15 times where the back's going out and he's crossing my face.
Right.
That's a screen pass to the outside, and I want to follow him, but I'm not allowed to do that. But back when I was playing up in Ottawa, the back crossed my face, and sure as shit, I got in his hip pocket, and I just happened to grab the ball, tip it up. I didn't make it to the house. I made it about 35, 40 yards before I got tackled, but I was so proud of that I had to call Coach O'Leary on the phone and say, I really want to send you this video. I scored, I picked off a pass and I'm hoping, I'm waiting for him to say, that's great. Congratulations. I'd like to see it. Jesus, what were you doing 3 yards from the sideline? God damn it.
Yeah. I knew that was going to happen, man.
You a minus on the play. It's either a plus or a minus. He gave you a minus.
And of course, I got bitched out by my old coach 25, 30 years later for picking off a pass. So it was nothing was ever good enough. Blaise,
that's hilarious.
It didn't matter what you did.
That is such a great
Really,
story.
that's great. All right, I got a couple big plays I had. I guess the first one is it took me a while. I got cut a few times, but I finally made it in the NFL. And first game was against Detroit Lions, and we traveled to Detroit to play in the Dome. And I was supposed to start at free safety, but I was really a natural strong safety. I knew all 4 positions, so I could play all 4. So I'm starting at free safety, but our strong safety gets sick in the morning. and thrown up, got a fever, 104 fever. He's got the flu. He can't play. So they moved me to strong safety and put my backup in at free safety. Well, I ended up having 10 or 12 tackles, 2 picks, a touchdown, a fumble recovery. I caused 4 turnovers, NFC Player of the Week, my very first game in the NFL. You talk about Eric Dickerson, my last game in the NFL that year. We're playing, I was at free safety again. The free safety that was ahead of me got hurt. So I go in at free safety. And first play of the game, I'm pumped up, man. It's the last game of the year against the Colts up in Indianapolis in their dome. Eric Dickerson, the Hall of Fame running backs, back there at tailback. First play of the game. They throw the pitch to Dick on a sweep, right? And Dickerson loved to plant that foot and cut back, right, Blaise? He loved to cut back. Yeah. So I'm back there 12 yards deep over the ball, and I shuffle on the pitch. I shuffle. I see Dick plant about 7 yards deep, that right foot, and come back to the other side. Well, I took an angle, a perfect angle, and I cut Dickerson down low, man. He was like 225. So I hit him right at the knees and about 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage, man. I get up and I'm high-fiving, screaming, yelling, just going nuts. And I'm going, I was hyperventilating. The first and only time I ever hyperventilated in my life. Yeah. My teammates were like, Trip, man, chill out, man. It's the first play of the game.
We still got a game to play.
We still got a whole game to play. And I'm like, all right. And I calm down. But, man, big plays, they can happen out of nowhere, but you got to be prepared for them. You got to be willing to be a role player. You got
to be around the football, Paul.
You got to be in pursuit. Yeah, you got to be around the football, man. There's some people that have a nose for the ball. Do you guys agree with that?
Yes.
You got to have an instinct. I call it, sixth instinct. Just go right to the ball. Pursue. That's when big plays happen. That's what we're talking about, big plays today. Big plays happen most of the time when I noticed it as a player and a coach, when the play goes away from you, the other side of the ball. All the other people have a tendency to slack up and not go full speed. That's when big plays happen. Yeah. If you have all 11 guys pursuing to the ball. So I do pursuit drill.
Also the thought of you're never far from a big play. I mean, the thought is that you go until what, Billy? What do we hear every day? The
whistle.
You don't stop 1 inch, you go beyond the whistle. You go to the whistle. We were always taught that by Coach O'Leary. And lo and behold, many times Billy, I, and many others reap a reward because the big play came the last step. The last step, we made that tackle for a loss. Right. Forced that fumble, whatever it might be. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So it was a great episode, but I want you guys to talk a little bit about the other 2 guys in the 4-wheel drive just for a minute or so. You guys can take one of them, Jamie Kimmel, and you guys can, and one of them take Timmy Green. But talk about those players and what those guys are.
I'll take Jamie. You take Timmy.
Okay.
Yeah, Timmy was just, when I first saw him, he was always reading a heavy-duty book. Never stopped reading. Right. I've never seen somebody read in the locker room before a practice or before a game. He'd be sitting there, and we're looking at him, Billy and I, saying, man, you ready? And he was always ready. He was always, tied in. And there's a little exaggeration here, but he was always reading and preparing. And it wasn't necessarily reading about football. It was reading about a school assignment. It was reading a novel. It was, the man is brilliant. The man is brilliant. You don't write 50+ books unless you really have a brain and you have the ability to visualize amazing things. Yeah. What you find out about Billy about Green is his creativity, his ability to see beyond the problem and find the solution. And many of us would, I know I would, lean on him for guidance in the world itself.
Right. Yeah.
And people say, well, you're going way overboard and blah, blah, blah. Hey, man, I'm talking about the good of a human being. That's all I want to focus on is what he brought to my life as one of the members of the four-wheel drive. And he is brilliant. Football player, he was brilliant. Because you don't go to the NFL as a 250-pound defensive tackle and do what you do if you're not brilliant. You have to be to understand that, hey, you're playing a position where most guys are 280, 290.
Right.
The size of Billy or larger.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot there to be said, but I'm glad I had the chance to play with him. I'm glad he's my brother, and I pray for him each day. And he's an amazing man.
Yep, we pray for Timmy with ALS. Absolutely. All right, Billy, talk about Jimmy Kimmel, the original.
Jamie, I'll tell you, Jamie was out of the four of us, Jamie was probably the most athletic of the four of us. And I was a close second, no doubt.
No, you weren't. You were last.
And by the way, I did beat Coach Tripp on the golf course, just to get that in before we finish it.
Did you really?
Okay. Coach, we
were playing team. We were playing team.
Hold on. You might want to tell that story about that 15.
Don't start that, Billy. You cheated.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute now. Paul, you might want to tell that story about that 35-footer. I mean, that 15-footer I made on 18.
Right.
No, but being back to Jamie. Jamie was now. I'm trying every month to get Jamie to come on the show. And Jamie, if you knew the guy was, old school. You talk about integrity. You talk about a handshake, and that was Jamie. It was not about writing something down on a contract. It was not about, who was who. Jamie was what you see is what you get. Now, you're talking about a guy from down Binghamton way, tough, grew up in a farm country, just a tough kid, wrestling background, very, very, very tough kid. Now I room with Jamie every summer. Of course, we were unfortunate because we had to go to summer school every year. I don't know if it was because we didn't go to school during football season or what the story was. I thought that wasn't part of the deal when I signed my letter of intent. I thought maybe maybe I didn't have to go to class during football season. So anyway, we would go summers together, and I roomed with Jamie, and it was an experience. And Jamie was a wild man.
Polite.
Jamie, and I'll tell you, Tripp, I won't get into stories because I would never do that. But Jamie was very, he lived that code of just a man's code, and he was, and if he was close to you and you were his friend, you wouldn't want nobody else behind you in a street fight. I'm going to tell you what, I was in plenty of brawls and plenty of places with Jamie behind me, and we never lost one of them. So
he was real, man. He was real. He's a real good friend.
Yeah, but athletically, and to make it, and I'm talking about just. And I remember a couple times. Now, Blaise, you remember when Carpentieri missed the extra point against Penn State? We didn't see Carpentieri for the rest of the year.
Right.
Jamie made a visit to him at his apartment, and he never came back to school after that. So I don't know what exactly happened, but
Jamie was something, man. I mean, Jamie, I'm missing so much. I wish you would get him on the show, man.
I'm going to try. I'm definitely going to try. But at the end of the day, when he got drafted to the Raiders, it was like just a perfect place. You couldn't pick a better place for him. Al Davis loved him, and just and as long as he's as close to me as any of the other three guys are. Any other two guys are.
Remember when you first saw him with a half shirt on? He had those Brits.
Oh, he
looked like a model in a magazine. He had these thighs that were like.
Yeah, he was. I'm going to tell you what. You talk about back to the four-wheel drive, and you talk about guys benching and squatting, and the numbers we put up, and the 40 times we ran, and the verticals, and those three guys that I played with, if they were in their 20s today, could suit up right now. And that's a testament to just the athletic ability that Jamie, Blaise, Timmy had. And I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm going to tell you,
you guys came around at just the right time. That's how God works, man. He puts you in places at the right time. His timing is better than ours. I went to Alabama. I have a brother that says, I wish Coach Bryant would have died. You could have had him the last 2 years. I don't look at it that way. I would look at it, I was lucky to have him for 3 years, man, before he passed away. So, it depends how you look at it. We were all so blessed. I'm going to try to get a hold of Timmy. I know he can't speak anymore, but he does have AI capabilities, which I have a couple of friends that know Timmy that have ALS. My old teammate, Kerry Good, has ALS. I want to start a segment with him. But, guys, thanks for the first segment of the four-wheel drive on Coach's Corner, man. It was awesome, man. It was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you
very much, guys. I can't wait to do more.
Yeah, we're going to pick another subject next week, and we'll let you know and let everybody know. We'll talk a little bit more about Syracuse and how they looked in their spring game.
I love you, Billy, man. You remember, hey, brother, I'm always here for you.
I hear you. Me too, man. You stay in touch, all right?
I will.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining the show. I appreciate it. Stay tuned for these important messages. Without these great sponsors, this just wouldn't be possible. Peace, everybody.
Peace.
All right, man. Take care, Paul.
Reason why Hill Kelly in Pensacola is the #1 selling Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram dealer between Jacksonville and New Orleans. While other dealers have taken advantage of a competitive market with higher prices, Hill Kelly has discounted prices to the lowest of the year. And Hill Kelly in Pensacola won't surprise you with excessive charges beyond the selling price. Come see why people from Milton, Pace, Foley, Bay Minette, Daphne, Gulf Shores, Mobile, and beyond are driving to Hill Kelly in Pensacola to buy their next new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram. At Hill Kelly, the bottom line price and your satisfaction are what really matter. So before you sign, check the bottom line and make the trip to Hill Kelly in Pensacola to see what true local ownership can do for you. At Hill Kelly Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Highway 29 in Car City, Pensacola. Or shop online 24/7 at hillkellydodge.com. When it comes to bottom line pricing, nobody beats a Hill Kelly deal. Nobody.
75 years of service in high-tech today. It's Pensacola Glass Company at 433-8348. High-tech is a term often applied to advanced services and products in today's marketplace. And today, glass is much more than a simple painted brittle, see-through stuff we hit baseballs through when we were kids. Glass is now a product with unique flexibility in both performance and application. And Pensacola Glass Company is growing right along. That's Pensacola Glass Company at 433-8348.
Are you riding around in a filthy vehicle? Dirty car no more. Visit Ronnie's Car Wash today to get it shining in no time. They have 3 convenient locations with another coming soon. The unlimited monthly wash packages start as low as $14.95 per month with free vacuums, multi-purpose spray, and towels. Visit them in Gulf Breeze, Navarre, Fort Walton, and soon Crestview. Don't wait, wash today. Be sure to see Ronnie's Car Wash on Facebook to see the latest specials and discounts. You'll be riding and shining in no time.
That's you trying to fix the plumbing yourself to save a few bucks. Doing things yourself doesn't always end well. The same goes for insurance. That's why Auto Owners works with local independent agents who tailor coverage to meet your needs and offer discounts for life, home, car, and business insurance. Because sometimes you need a professional to get the job done right. That's simple human sense.
Step One works so hard to get you in the perfect car.
Looking for a better car buying experience? With the Step One Advantage from Buick GMC, Fort Walton Beach, and Pensacola, receive no-hassle market-based pricing or incentives by pre-ordering. Looking to sell or trade? Our dedicated team will even come to you. Plus, every vehicle sold at Step One supports local charities right in your neighborhood. Experience the Step One Advantage at Buick GMC, Fort Walton Beach, and Pensacola today.